Well, good morning, and hope that you all have had a good week thus far. It's hard to believe that we have now not entered only into a new year, but we are entering now into a new month. Today is February the 1st, and we want to welcome you to the Glendale Devotional Podcast, or as we like to call today, Wrangling Wednesday. Again, I'm Ron Plymel, founder, horse trainer, and evangelist for Greener Grass Ministries and Horsemanship. Each Wednesday, we have been given the golden opportunity to share with you some wonderful parallels of what we do and experience in our horse training and that of biblical principles, teachings, and scripture from the Bible. We would love the opportunity to come to your church or group, organization, share a similar presentation through the use of a horse, one of our own, or selected and approved local horse from there right in your own community. In these presentations, we share and demonstrate some of our horse training techniques and tasks along with making biblical parallels along the way, and we can really go in many different directions. We can cover a variety of topics and subjects, and so if you would be interested in finding out more information or scheduling an event with us, there will be contact information given at the end as to how that you can contact us. Now to that as to why you are really listening today, our devotional thought. Our thought for this morning centers around the subject of bearing our burdens, of casting our care on the Lord. And one scripture comes from the Gospel of Matthew, words of Jesus himself, where in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28, he declares, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest." And Peter, almost in a manner of testimony, writes in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 7, "Give all your worries and cares to God, for he cares for you." Were you aware that horses were not generally made for carrying a person on their back? But more so they were made to pull wagons, carts, and carry loads. Horses' main source of strength comes from its hindquarters, its back legs. And that's one of the main reasons we horse trainers teach and talk about riding in balance, riding with the horse collected to round its back out, to better be able to carry a burden, to carry a load on its back. Also, a horse is a prey animal, so it sees anything that comes upon its back as a predator. And there again, that's the reason when we first saddle a young or unridden horse, we want to put the saddle on the horse and immediately take it back off again, where they will know that rest is available from the burden, that rest and relief is coming. And that's why the first time saddling can be such an adventure for the young horse, not only the saddle being on its back, but also the experience of a tight cinch around its stomach. Did I mention to you that a horse is also naturally claustrophobic? So all those horse instincts, all those horse behaviors come into play. And perhaps one of the most traumatic saddling experiences was one of my own doing. I mentioned in a previous podcast that Ken McNabb was one of my horsemanship mentors. And when I traveled to Arizona to spend some time with him in an apprenticeship clinic, one of my projects was a young 2-year-old colt. And I was to do all the groundwork with him, working up to the first saddling and putting the first rides on him. And when it came the time to put the saddle on him, I went through all the proper steps and turned him loose in the round pen, which was customary for us to do. And we expected him to do a little kicking up and react to the saddle. But what was not expected was that the front cinch was going to break and the saddle roll under his belly. Needless to say, he went ballistic, and my saddle was totally destroyed and shattered to pieces when he got through with his episode. But again, in the end, he was taken care of. We were able to immediately get that saddle off of him, put another saddle on. And when it was all said and done, he had learned to, again, trust me. And the first rides were successfully put on him. In a similar manner, that may be some of our testimonies of how we reacted or have dealt with anxieties, fears, burdens, or sicknesses that have come our way. We run around frantic, yelling, bucking, and carrying on because we are overwhelmed. Our lack of understanding, our desire to try and handle things on our own. But our scripture for today, I believe, gives us some wonderful advice. If you will, some needed advice. for our day and time. Now, Jesus says, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest." Rest is available. Relief is present for the storms. And Peter, again, almost in a manner of testimony, adds, "Give all your worries and cares to God, for he cares for you." Add to that the words of the psalmist in Psalm 46:1, that God is our refuge and strength, always ready. We could say always available to help in times of trouble. Just as a horse may not have been created to carry a person, he can be taught to do so through collection and balance and the proper instruction of a skilled trainer. We may not have been created to carry our burden, properly traverse our storms, but we can when we follow the instructions and we go to the one and we follow the one who created us, who cares for us, and who loves us. When I think of carrying my cares, my worries, and burdens to the Lord, I'm reminded of a story shared by one of our church members of the church where I'm serving as interim pastor. He shared the story of, I believe it was G. Campbell Morgan, who had someone approach him about prayer. And they were sincere, and they honestly were asking of him, "Is anything too small for us to take to the Lord in prayer?" And I love his response. He looked at them and he said, "What isn't small to God?" I love that, don't you? Even what seems big to us, what seems overwhelming to us, is still small to God. It's when we are willing to take our burdens to God, to cast our cares upon him, that we will best experience his goodness. In closing, my wife, DJ, has shared with me and introduced me to a song by C.C. Winan entitled "The Goodness of God." And some of the lyrics simply state, "I love your voice. You have led me through the fire. In darkest nights, you are as close like no other. I've known you as Father. I've known you as friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God." Have you experienced the goodness of God? You have, and I believe you will, if you will take your burdens to the Lord. Cast your cares upon God, knowing that he greatly cares for you and he deeply loves you. Listen, may you have a blessed week. And until next time, may God richly bless the trails you travel.
Each Wednesday, the Glendale Devotional Podcast is pleased to feature audio devotions from Greener Grass Ministry and Horsemanship. The speaker on today's broadcast was Brother Ron Plymel. To learn more about Greener Grass Ministry and Horsemanship, or to schedule them to come to your church, club, or function, please call Brother Ron Plymel at 662-415-1514, or you can email him at greenergrassministry@gmail.com. You're always welcome to attend Cowboy Church, which is held on Sunday mornings at 8:30 at High on the Hog Barbecue, Highway 72 in Glenn, Mississippi. Or you can watch their services on Facebook anytime. Simply like the page Greener Grass Ministries and Horsemanship to receive updates about scheduling, services, and ministry opportunities.